Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Uvajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Saranam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyaktam Nityam Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. Namah Samay Saraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chitsabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Agnanatimirandhanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksurmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayavantavarto Omkaranad Jinano Jayavantavarto Jinana Samo Sarana Jayavantavarto Netirthachara Jagama Jayavantavarto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangarotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane अहो उपकार जिनवर नो कुंद नो ध्वनि दिव्य नो जीन कुंद ध्वनि प्या अहो ते गुरु काननो अहो ते भगवती मातनो ध्रुव अचलने अनुपम गति पामेल सर्वेशी धन वंदे कहो सुत केवल बास समय प्रगट अरे हूँ एक शुद्ध सदा अरूपी ज्ञान दर्शनमय खरे कई अन्य ते मारु जरी परमाणु मात्र नथी अरे जम नेत्र ते मज ज्ञान नथि कारक नथि भेदक अरे जाने जकर मोदय निरजरा बंदते मज मोचने ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम श्री शुद्धात्माने नमः जय जिनेन्द्र Today is September 20th, 2017, Wednesday, and we are continuing our Samasa Swadhyay on Samasa stanza 12. Before we start, yesterday we had the class on basic Jainism, and Chirag had raised a question, and I was not able to give answer because I really wanted to confirm, and so I have that answer, so I'll tackle that one first. I know Ankit, you are not there. I'll just give a little background for that, so that will give some idea of what we were talking about. Actually, what it was that we were talking about the consciousness attribute of the soul. We are talking about specific attribute of the substances out of which we are talking about soul, and the specific attribute of the soul we are talking as a consciousness. And then we said that consciousness attribute means it involves knowledge and perception both. That means the consciousness attribute encompasses both the things together, knowledge and perception both together. And so they will also have the modes according to knowledge and perception. So we said that knowledge can have possibly 8 different types of modifications can occur. 8 different types of paryay can occur. And those paryay were 5 were for the samyak darshan onwards. Somebody is getting samyak darshan, and then knowledge can have possible 5 different types of modifications can occur. Matignan, perceptual knowledge, Sutagnan, the scriptural knowledge, Avdignan means clairvoyance knowledge, Manaparignan means telepathy knowledge, and Kevagnan means omniscience knowledge. These are 5 pure modification of the soul in the form of knowledge can occur. Then there are 3 possible types of modification occurs from the knowledge, and then they are present in a mithya drashti jiv, in a wrong belief stage, in the first gunsthana, and they are wrong form of perceptual knowledge, wrong form of scriptural knowledge, wrong form of clairvoyance knowledge. So this way, 5 pure and 3 impure means total 8 different types of possible modes can occur in a knowledge from a knowledge attribute, which is knowledge attribute is a part of the consciousness attribute. Consciousness is been lumped together with knowledge and perception because knowing occurs and perception occurs, and so knowing is a specific form of a knowledge, and perception is kind of general type of information. So that's why they both are lumped together and they say consciousness attribute. Now, our question was the perception attribute. Perception attribute, we said, is a 4 kinds. One was perception due to ocular perception. Second is non-ocular perception. Third is clairvoyance perception. And fourth is a omniscience perception. Now, here, Chirag had raised very, very important question, and I was, I was not absolutely sure, so I had to talk to my sources and find it out that whatever thought process I had, was it right or not, and they just gave us the information. So, what happens? Knowledge knows by specific way. It will say, for example, this is a phone. This is not a laptop. This is not an iPad. So it gives a specific way it divides. And so knowledge divides those things. And when knowledge is dividing and knowing, for example, there was a crowd of people, and then you may say, how many people were there? Well, so many people. That is perception. Now, but give me give me the divisions of those things. Well, 40% were women, 60% were men, and it was a senior citizen rally. So there were 70% were senior citizen, 30% were younger people. Out of 30%, 10% were children. All kind of divisional aspect of reality. That is called knowledge. Now, in knowledge, in knowing attribute, what happens? I divide those things. In a Sutagnan, I divide those things. In a scriptural note, I divide those things. So this thing is better than the other thing. This iPhone is better than Android, or iPhone features are not as good as Android feature. So now, whenever I make division, I end up with the inclination of attachment. Inclination of attachment means it is with the rag. Whenever us as a human, us as any transmigratory soul knows a thing, then he knows with the divisions only. And when he knows with the division, that means it is associated with her inclination of attachment. Omniscient Lord also knows with division and without division, but omniscient Lord does not have rag or dvesh. Only the transmigratory soul, when they are knowing with the Srutagnan, with the scriptural knowledge, then that knowledge is also producing inclination of attachment. Because the divisions, there are more than one thing. This is good, this is not good. We have to compare those things. So that means it's a division, and that's why I say inclination of attachment. Now, in a perception, we said knowledge knows with division, and perception is perceived with general only. There are no divisions. It just knows one thing at a complete thing only. That's it. There are infinite souls in the universe. That's it. What kind of souls are these? Liberated souls or transmigratory souls? 1 sense, 2 sense, 3. No divisions are made. Infinite souls in the universe, period. That's it. So that's a general pattern. Now, When there is a general pattern, means there is nothing to compare to each other. Because there is nothing to compare to each other, that's why there is no inclination of attachment is produced. And general is general is general. And that's why there are no there is no mithyatva or no samyaktva, no wrong belief, no right belief for this perceptual knowledge, which is general in nature. Samanya pratiti. Pratiti is not word. Samanya pratibhas means just general information, general knowledge, to know everything in a general pattern without making any division. That's why there is no impurity in that perception. Also, four things: ocular perception, non-ocular perception, and the clairvoyance perception and omniscient perception. They're general. That's why there are no divisions, and so there are no raga or dvesh, so there is no impurity. So they are pure. They'll be no impure. Now, furthermore, as we said that this is, for example, this is a phone that I have it, and this is a box I have it. Now, when my attention from the phone goes towards the box, the time in between occurs, which is absolutely microscopic time occurs between those two, and that is called perception. That is called darshan. So, so those are the things. I hope that clarifies from yesterday. And if there is any question, we can entertain. Otherwise, we can go for today's topic.
Once again, the last thing you said about perception is it happens. Say that again, please.
Okay. You are knowing one thing. Now my attention is focused to second thing. Now, remember, from one thing to second thing, from knowing from this cell phone to the box, it becomes my upyog, my attentive consciousness goes very quick. But the transit time between from the cell phone knowing to the box knowing, whatever the transit time occurred, that is called perception. For example, as we said yesterday, that I'm sitting in a meditative posture and something is happening on my back. Could it be itching? Could it be a bug? Could it be an ant? Could it be mosquito? I don't know that part yet. Something is perceived. That is called perception. And when we are talking about that kind of thing, that is also part of the Matignan actually. Matignan has 4 parts. When we come to that, we'll talk more about it. But there is not much of the example given.
Right. You said that this is Kevali Gamyavastu. So thank you, Girtanko. My question yesterday, I'm not sure if you answered it, so I'm going to repeat it. And then maybe you did. I don't, maybe I missed something. My question was during Samyak Darshan, which of those 4 darshan consciousness is active? Is it the non-ocular darshan?
Ocular, non-ocular both. Ocular, non-ocular both. And clairvoyance perception, if you have clairvoyance knowledge, then clairvoyance perception is operative. If there is no clairvoyance knowledge, then the clairvoyance perception is not there. Ocular and non-ocular means something perceived by the eye and something perceived by rest of the senses. So that's why it is in Samyak Darshan or Mithya Darshan. Both the places, those things are operational.
Oh, wow. So during Samyak Darshan, we say, I thought that was a Atindriya experience completely, but it's not completely.
No. Samyak Darshan, let's presume that we 5 people are here right now and we have Samyak Darshan right now. Means we experience ourselves at this moment. it lasts transiently. It lasts for short time. It lasts antarmurag, means very short time. Now what happens after that? After that experiencing of the eternal soul substance, I come out of the experience because I still have the fruition of the other karma operating. And so I end up joining in those fruition of those karma. So again, I'm in that vibhav bhav, but they don't say that word is a vibhav. They just say it's an instability nature. I want to be stable in my samyak, in my eternal soul only, but I don't have enough purusharth right now that I come out, and so my outside projection at the time is called instability nature. Stability is within, but I'm outside. So instead of vibhav bhav, it's called instability. Asthirtano bhav. That's a word that's been used, okay? So
yeah, I think I definitely got it. So the four types of darshan consciousness, they're all shuddh. So they can, those two can continue to operate even in nirvikalpa. There is no nothing stopping.
But in nirvikalpa, we are only engrossed in the eternal soul only, right? You are involved in the eternal.
That's right. So during that time, the ocular and non-ocular will continue, but they don't pay attention to it.
Well, basically what happens, ocular, during experiencing phase, you are engrossed in the eternal soul, and so only the perception of working at the sub-intellectual level. So soul does not perceive those kind of things. So there are also vibhav bhav occurring and everything, but soul is not able to perceive those things. It is called abuddhi purvak no rag. Only the thing, soul is grossly, mainly engrossed in the eternal soul only and enjoying that eternal soul's nature. But underneath, the activities are still going on, but they are called abuddhi purvak. Means soul is not able to pick up those activities, Does it make sense?
Barabar, thank you very much.
Okay, all right. So then we can start today's part. I'll bring the slide. Just share screen. Okay, where we are here. So now, in 12 stanza, mainly Acharya Bhagwan wants to convey the message to us that there are things happening in the aspirant's life. In aspirant means from 4th to 12th spiritual developmental stage. Aspirant, the one who is aspiring to have omniscience knowledge. So he's progressing from 4th all the way up to 12th spiritual development stage. So what happens to that soul? That is been described in this 12th stanza. Remember, as we just said, during the experiencing phase, let's say that we have Samyak Darshan and we are in the experiencing phase right now. That experience is same as what Siddha Bhagwan is experiencing. There's no difference with that. But when the soul comes out of the experiencing phase, and now he has some rag and dvesh also operative because he is out of the experience, then he's also binding karma. So his mode is of two different types. One is a purity of the mode, and other one is an impurity of the mode. Purity of the mode says, hey, you know what? Even though with this unstable nature, I am projecting to the outside things, but still I'm pure within. I'm pure within. So the purity says, I'm pure within. For example, when I wake up in the morning, nobody has to tell me, or I don't have to look into my cell phone or go to the mirror and say, hey, remember, your name is Kirit today, okay? Don't forget that thing. Why? Because it is always operational within my psyche that I am Kirit, even though it is not been expressed, but I know who am I right now. Same way, this person who has experienced the eternal soul substance, his psyche keeps on saying that, hey, you know what? I'm the pure nature. And that is sitting in the back of his mind all the time, in the back of his soul all the time, continuously non-stop. And even though he's doing external thing, like Srimad Rajchandra ji, when he was doing the business of pearls and precious stone and everything, when he had the experiencing of his soul at the age of 24, he continuously knew that he has an experience and his real nature is to stay within, but because of karma fruition, he is in a business, he's running his household, he has a wife and kids and everything. All those time also, he knows what is his true nature and where he belongs to. Same way, during the whole day, I do all kind of activity and everything, but I know I am Kirit all the time. So that's way happens in this aspirant soul during his out of experiencing phase from 4th all the way to 12th spiritual development stage. So partial point of view occurs in scriptural knowledge. We just talked this one last time because there was a question raised. Scriptural knowledge means Srutagnan, means the knowledge that I acquire by listening and reading, mainly listening. We have 5 senses. The last sense come to a given soul is a listening. Touch, taste, smell, seeing, and listening is occurring as a fifth sense, and there's a higher form of sense, and that is present in a 5 sense sentient being. And so I can listen. Srut. Srut means to listen. And Srutagnan means by listening, when I acquire the knowledge, it's called Srutagnan. And so partial point of view means this is the convention point of view, this is an absolute point of view, this is the those convention point, absolute point of view, and all those things, modal point of view and substantial point of view. All those partial point of views are only operational in scriptural knowledge and right scriptural knowledge. That will be coming in this slide again. Pure point of view is the mode of scripture. That when the partial point of view occurs in scriptural knowledge, means pure point of view is also mode of the scriptural knowledge. If you want to just analyze this bullet, we can say pure point of view is a mode of scriptural knowledge, and it is not present in the omniscience knowledge, because in omniscience knowledge is perfect, complete, and there is no evidence, no impurity or partiality. There is a partial presentation. It is complete, and that's why there is no partial point of view seen in the omniscience knowledge. Also, on the other extreme, partial point of view is not seen in a mithyatva, in the first spiritual development stage, because I don't have experiencing of the soul. In the first spiritual development, first gunsthana, there is a mithyatva, and so there is no experiencing of the soul, and that's why there is no partial point of view in a mithyatva. So two extreme. In a mithyatva, there is no partial point of view, means there is no presence of nai, and on the omniscience knowledge, it is complete knowledge, and so there is no presence of a partial point of view. Only partial point of view will be operational in the aspirant soul from 4th to 12th spiritual development stage. The object of pure point of view is an eternal true nature of the soul, that we, because pure point of view, the word itself denotes that pure point of view should be directed to the eternal true nature of the soul. So object, what's the object for this pure point of view is the eternal true nature of the soul. So from this perspective, with the help of pure point of view, when one experiences eternal soul, then this manifested state of eternal true nature also is known as pure point of view. Now, this bullet is little bit to understand. Number one, in my mode, me as a soul, I have a mode. I have a scriptural knowledge mode. And in that scriptural knowledge mode, when I experience my eternal soul substance, then this manifested state of eternal true nature is also known as pure point of view. Means, in the paryay, there is a partial point of view occurring. So the operational aspect occurs in the mode only. But what is the object of it? Object is eternal soul. So object is over here, and this is a mode. A pure point of view is occurring in the mode, but making that mode secondary and making the eternal soul substance primarily, and because it's an object of pure point of view, that's why this eternal soul substance is also called as a pure point of view. So mode is also called pure point of view, and the eternal soul substance is also called pure point of view, because it's an object of the pure point of view. Pure point of view occurs in a mode, and object is sitting over here. So because that is, the object is important, given importance to the object, and so object means eternal soul substance is also called pure point of view. So two ways we can just say those things. On the 13th spiritual development stage, omniscient knowledge is shining. Completeness of the objectivity of the pure point of view is now achieved. Pure point of view's job was to make the object as eternal soul substance. Now, in the 13th spiritual development stage, this mode has achieved the aim. Aim was to get engrossed forever in the eternal soul substance. So now the object is over, objectivity is over. Pure point of view was present only to make sure that me in my mode can get engrossed forever in the eternal soul substance. So that omniscience knowledge is shining, and now completeness is achieved, and now there is nothing more for pure point of view mode has to achieve. So that becomes now non-operational. One now does not need to take refuge in the pure point of view because objectivity is achieved. So there's no need to take refuge. Yes, in the 4th spiritual development stage, I have to take the refuge in this mode, which is going to be leaning towards eternal soul substance. So now I have objectivity is achieved, so there is no need to take refuge in that mode. At this stage, pure point of view is fully manifested. And so what happens next now? That's why what is it called? That at 13th spiritual development stage, motive for the pure point of view is for knowing aspect only. From the 4th to 12th spiritual development stage, pure point of view was to be respected because it was very important. I had given the importance to pure point of view because it was helping me to go to the eternal soul substance. But now objectivity is achieved. So that pure point of view, which was present in the scriptural knowledge, and now one has achieved omniscience knowledge. Omniscience knowledge is perfect. scriptural knowledge is imperfect, and so in that imperfect scriptural knowledge, pure point of view was present, but in omniscient knowledge, there is no need for it. So omniscient knowledge says that in the past, when all these changes were occurring, when the purity progressively was increasing, at that time operational aspect of a pure point of view was perceived. But right now, there is no need for it. So omniscience knowledge only knows this one. That's it. Janeva prajanvanche means only knowing purpose. It's there now. It's not operational right now. It is not important right now. Its manifestation is not required. So only knowing purpose. It is not to be adored. There is no adoration to be done for the pure point of view because its job is done now. Pure point of view was operational from 4th till the 12th spiritual development state. As we said, yes, that is true, because of the Sutta the scriptural knowledge is present in the true form. The right scriptural knowledge means scriptural knowledge with Samyak Darshan. Scriptural knowledge with enlightenment was operational from 4th to 12th spiritual development stage, and at 13th spiritual development stage, now the omniscience knowledge is shining. So 4th to 12th, but as we said last week, 4th spiritual development stage, 5th stage, and 6th stage. There are three stages: 4th Gunsthana, 5th Gunsthana, and 6th Gunsthana. These 3 Gunsthana are the one in which soul with its express intellect, with buddhi purvak no rag, with the express means with a non express in the sense he is aware of those things, that I am in the unstable nature. I'm not within my eternal soul substance experience. I'm outside, and with that thing, there is fruition of karma. I'm joining in all the things. So he's aware of those things in a 4th, 5th, and 6th spiritual stage. Now, from 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12 spiritual development state, he is engrossed within himself. He is engrossed, and at that time, Sanjvanan Kashaya, the extremely mildest form of toxic emotions, are operational, but they are under the radar, they are under the intellectual capacity of the soul, and so soul is not able to perceive, and so basically soul is engrossed within. That's why when we talked about a partial point of view and pure point of view and everything, that will be mainly discussion for 4th, 5th, and 6th spiritual development stage. The 13th stage, this pure point of view with objectivity of the pure point of view is achieved, and so pure point of view has achieved the total purity of the soul, and now there is no need, no operational things available for pure point of view because it has achieved the objectivity, so it ceased to exist. Now there is no need to take refuge in the pure point of view for the soul because completeness, absolute purity is been achieved. Now there is total engrossment in the eternal true nature forever. Now, so for an aspirant soul, means from 4th onwards, before 4th to 12th, let's talk about that. For aspirant soul, when the purity has started but not yet completed, on 4th spiritual development state, Chaturth Gunsthana, purity has started. Suddhatani Shuruat. The purity has just started, but it's not completed. Then he has a partial purity and partial impurity present. If this is the whole thing as 100% we just talk about for complete purity, let's say that purity started at the fourth spiritual state at about 5%. That means 95% impurity is present. Then that 5% will, this example only, that 5% can become 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, 60. And as purity increases, impurity starts decreasing. As the purity increases, impurity keeps on decreasing progressively. So as this Gunsthana keeps on increasing from fourth to fifth, means there is more purity, less impurity. On sixth, there is lot more purity and least amount of impurity. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12 Gunsthana, there is no presence of impurity perceived by the soul, even though there is mild operational activity going on in subconscious level, that soul is not able to pick it up. Now remember, I'm saying that 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. I'm omitting number 11. What's the reason for that? 11th Gunsthana is called suppression of the moh, suppression of the infatuation. 12th Gunsthana is called eradication of the infatuation completely. What happens in the 11th? We have to go back to 7th Gunsthana. 7th Gunsthana, it's divided into two parts, one half and second half. First half of 7th Gunsthana means in that one half of that first half of this Gunsthana of 7th Gunsthana, soul keeps on going to 6 to 7 to 6 to 7 to 6 to 7, keep on going between the 6th and 7th all the time, continuously throughout the day. He's into experiencing phase, now he comes out, now again he is in the experiencing phase, comes out. For example, Kunkunacharya Dev, he is in the experiencing phase on 7th Gunsthana, and then he comes out on the 6th Gunsthana, and then he says, you know what, maybe I will give discourses to my disciples. Maybe I will write down something. That kind of reflective thoughts occurs. Or maybe my stomach is, my body keeps on bothering me, and so maybe I'll throw some food inside so that does not bother me. So I may be able to retain, I may be able to stay longer time in my purity. So this 6th and 7, he keeps on going from 6 to 7, 6 to 7 all the time in the first half of the 7th Gunsthana. In the later part of the 7th Gunsthana, now he has achieved so much purity that he now ascends the ladder. Two types of ladders are there, ascending ladder. And they are called suppression ladder or eradication ladder. Suppression ladder means whatever karma are minimal present within him, he suppresses those and starts climbing start ascending those Gunsthana. From 7th he'll go to 8th, then 9th, and 10th, and 11th. And 11th he has to stop because he's on suppression mode. He has suppressed the karma fruition, because his personal effort is not that strong at that point. So he has a suppression done and suppression of karma, and up to 11th he has to stop there. He remains there for less than 48 minutes. And then those karma fruition starts coming up. Those suppression karma, they starts coming out in the operation. And so he starts falling down from 11 to 9 and 11 all the way to 7th. Then he comes to 6, or 11, he comes to 6. Then he goes to 5th, he can go to 4th, he can go to 1st. Depending on where does he will stop. If he stops at 6th, then he will start going to 6th and 7th, 6th and 7th all the time. And then with his intense increase in the personal effort, he will take the eradication ladder. Means all the karma and the ladder will start getting eliminated completely. That means he will go from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12th Gunsthana. Suppression ladder will take you to 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a dead end. In a eradication ladder, 8, 9, 10, 12, and then he can go further, which is 13, which is a Keval Gnan. And then he'll go to the 14, and then he becomes Siddha. So, purity increases, impurity keeps on decreasing. Next one is a, so this, so when purity increases, impurity decreasing, means presence of purity and impurity both in that aspirant soul. Presence of both the things present in an aspirant soul is called conventional point of view, because there is a presence of impurity, presence of rag, presence of inclination of attachment. Now, aspirant soul is aware of this conventional point of view. He knows that that is his weakness, that he is getting involved with this karma fruition. During the experiencing phase, he remains into the experience, but when he's outside of the experience, then he's joining into the fruition of his karma without, he doesn't like it, but he ends up doing it. For example, I have diabetes, and I'm supposed to have no sugar, no sweets and everything. But there's a party going on, lots of sweets are there, and I get tempted. Let me have it. No, I can't have it because I have diabetes and sugar is there. But the temptation is so much that I end up taking that sweet. I end up taking that ice cream. But internally at that time, I'm aware of it that, hey, this is my weakness. I cannot control my desire. And that's why I end up taking the sweets and everything. It's not good for me. Similarly, over here, aspirant soul, when he's in this, he joins into the karma fruition. He knows that it is his weakness that he's joining. His true nature is eternal soul substance. He should be getting engrossed into the soul substance, but because of his weakness, he ends up joining there, even though he does not want to join. So, the 13th spiritual development stage, the objectivity of pure point is now achieved. We know that part. Because Sutagnani is now over and omniscience knowledge is shining, and the objectivity of the pure point of view is achieved, and that's why the eternal true nature of the soul is now fully manifested in a 13th Gunsthana. Objectivity of the pure point of view is now fully achieved at this stage. It's been said that motive of the pure point of view is motive of the pure point of view is for knowing purpose only, simply saying that yes, in the past it was present, period. That's it. Knowing purpose. Jane lo prayojan. Suddha nahi, jane lo prayojanvan hai. Remember, nai means occurring in a Sutta Gnan. Partial point of view are only operational in scriptural knowledge. In omniscience knowledge, it's a perfect knowledge. There is no rag and dvesh involved, nothing. So it is simply known that in the past, the pure point of view was present to achieve the objectivity of eternal soul substance in the pure form. So, what is happening? In the first Gunsthana, there is no partial point of view present. There is no present of Nai. There is no Vyavar Nai. There is no Nishchay Nai. There is no absolute point of view. There is no partial point of view. Why? Why there is no partial point of view present in first spiritual development stage in Mithyatva? Because when a soul is being experienced, that means Sruta Gnan, the scriptural knowledge, becomes right scriptural knowledge. Until then, it was a wrong scriptural knowledge. We have to just go a little bit to explain this one. For example, I'm the first sense, I'm the one sense animal, two sense animal, three sense animal, four sense animal. That means I have only perceptual knowledge, only matignan. Sutagnan is almost non-existent, almost non-existent. So only matignan is there. On the fifth, five sense sentient being, I am the human being, or I could be hellish soul, or I'm heavenly soul, or I'm the five sense sentient animal, like a lion, or cow, or goat, or monkey, something like that. Those are the things, the five sense sentient animals, heavenly soul, human, or infernal soul. They have Sutagnan shining right now. They have the scriptural knowledge shining right now. Because of the scriptural knowledge, they will know this is good for me. No, this is not good for me. So he can think about it, that what is good and what is not good for him. So that is called scriptural knowledge. Scriptural knowledge tells you good or not good, and it just gives you that analytical mind. When I'm in the first gun sthanak, then my liking and disliking is only on the material objects. I'm a healthy person. No, in a month of August, I was very sick and I was in the hospital. Who was sick? The soul was sick, or the physical body was sick. But because I have association with the body, so me and body are same. That kind of understanding I have it, wrong understanding I have it. So the scriptural knowledge is also called wrong scriptural knowledge. So when there is wrong scriptural knowledge, there is no partial point of view present. A partial point of view is present only in the right scriptural knowledge, means Susrut Gnan. Su means right, Srut means scriptural knowledge. In the first Gun Sthanak, it is called Kusrut. Ku means wrong, Srut means scriptural knowledge. So wrong scriptural knowledge or Kusrut Gnan, and that's why there is no partial point of view there. Now, remember, we did this 11th stanza. We went through an amazing amount of time we spent understanding the partial point of view, Nishchay Nahi, Vyavahar Nahi, absolute point of view, convention point of view, 4 types of convention point of view, 4 types of absolute point, all those analysis we did. What was that then? At that point, in my first spiritual development stage, I just studied the partial point of view. I studied those things, and it's called a indirect knowledge for partial point of view. There is no direct experiencing of those things. But it is very, very, very important that I do the study of those things. I do the study of the partial point of view, that this is called absolute point of view, this is called convention point of view, and convention point of view are 4 different subgroups are there, and each subgroup is even better than other previous one, and all those things I have to know, knowing. And then when the 4th spiritual stage occurs, when I have experience of soul occurs, then they are operational. Partial point of view become operational within me. So first Gun Sthanak, there is no partial point of view. One only studies the nature of partial point of view. Right now, we understand the nature of the soul. This is the soul. A soul has a substance. Soul is an infinite attribute. Soul has a modes are there from time infinite in the past, will remain time infinite in the future. All those things I know indirectly. For example, a small child is there. Let's say that this child is intelligent, but he has not experienced any of the worldly affair yet. Theoretical question. Now, we give the description of all the description for the sugar to this child, and this child has never tasted sugar in his entire existence so far that he is here. So he knows sugar is sweet, sugar is sweet, sugar is this sweet, that. He knows all the things. But then he says, wait a second. When you say orange juice is sweet, apple is sweet, banana is sweet, the sweets made at home, they are sweet, the tea is sweet, all this, when you just say sweet, 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 what does it mean to you? What does it mean? Then I have experienced the nature of the sugar. So I tell that kid or that person that only the way you understand different types of sweetness is by you experiencing those things. So at this point here in a green bullet, I have studied the nature of the partial point of view in an indirect fashion. I have not experienced those things. And when I keep on asking so much question to Acharya Bhagwan, then he says, you know, son, only the way you will know all these things is you experience yourself. So those are the things that the first one. Now, from 4 to 12 spiritual development stage, from 4th to 12th Gunsthana, there is a conventional point of view present because there is also absolute point of view present. Conventional point of view cannot be present if there is no absolute point of view present. I can say this is the glass of water, this is the glass of milk, this is a glass of sweet and everything, this is a glass full of ghee and everything. All this thing, when I say, then glass's existence has to be there. I cannot say a glass of water if there is no glass. Only the way water is present in a glass when glass is present. Only the way milk is present in the glass because glass is present. Only the way partial point of view is present because there is absolute point of view. There is no absolute point of view, you cannot compare to anything. So an absolute point of view is essential to just say this is partial point of view. So existence of partial point of view depends, existence of partial point of view, conventional point of view depends on existence of the absolute point of view. So that is very important. So from 4 to 12 spiritual evolution, the conventional point of view is for knowing purpose only, and pure point of view is for adoration purpose. Now, here Acharya Bhagwan has changed the style a little bit and said, aspirant soul. He has two things. Now, partial, purity is increasing gradually, impurity is decreasing, and those things are happening. So, he is aware of his impurities. This soul is aware of his impurity. When this diabetic guy is taking sweet, he is aware of it, that it is not good for him. It is poisonous for him. It's going to give his blood sugar raising, thing will happen, and associated problem, but he is still taking that one. He is aware of it. He knows about it. Similarly, this aspirant soul knows that he has conventional point of view present as his weakness. And so it is for knowing purpose only. It's just as I need to discard that. So I know and to discard. I have an abscess on the hand. That abscess I don't adore. I don't respect that abscess. Take it out quickly, right away. I was sick. I had a fever. I'm in the hospital. I'm in ICU. What do I want? I want to take the sickness out. I don't say, hey, I mean, I'm sick and I'm in ICU and people are coming and, they bring food. No, I'm there to get rid of that problem. So it's for knowing purpose only. It is not for adoration purpose. It is not for respecting purpose. This abscess on my hand is not for respecting. It is to be thrown out, just to know and throw it out. Same way here, the 4 to 12 spiritual development state, that the aspirant soul knows that conventional point of view is present, but it is to be discarded. And he has a purity that he's perceiving. Purity is present in a low intensity. I would like to have higher intensity, more intensity, complete intensity, so that he adores that situation. He respects that situation. He is aware of it and he likes that situation. So he wants to get engrossed further in that thing. So that's called adoration purpose. Now, at 13 spiritual development state onwards, pure point of view is on what happened. 13 spiritual, the purity is completed now. Purity is completed, impurity is all totally gone now. So the objectivity of the pure point of view is achieved completely. So even pure point of view is for knowing purpose only for him. That pure point of view was for adoration purpose here. That pure point of view was absent in the first spiritual development state. Now at 13, he is also saying that pure point of view is for knowing purpose only. And this slide basically becomes the essence of 12th stanza, basically, Now, aspirant soul has started experiencing eternal and true nature of the soul. Yes, he has passed his beginner stage, means Jaganya Avastha, means he is on the 4th spiritual development state, means just purity has just touched him. It's just a beginning stage. Just it happened. Excuse me. He has not achieved the complete purity of his eternal soul, which will be occurring at the 13th spiritual stage. He is in the intermediary state. He is in the aspirant phase right now. He is aspiring to have the complete purity of his soul. Partial purity, partial impurity state is present in this intermediate state. Partial purity, partial impurity, purity keeps on increasing, impurity keeps on decreasing. Both the things are operational in the aspirant stage. He still has karma bondage according to the stage he is in. 4th spiritual development stage, he is binding some karma. At 5th, he is binding less. At 6th, he is binding much less. And then at the end of 10th Gunsthanak, he stops binding completely all the deluding karma. For an aspirant soul, he has partial purity and partial impurity present. Some of the things get repeated over here. He has presence of inclination of attachment state till the end of 10th spiritual development state. Until up to 10th spiritual development state, he has the rag present. And that rag is ultimately gone at the end of 10th, so he goes to 12th Gunsthanak now. He is perceivable form of toxic emotion, buddhi purokno rag, up to 6th spiritual development state. Remember the perceivable toxic emotions, buddhi purokno rag, buddhi purokno kashai. He is perceiving those things, that when he is not in the experiencing phase of 4th and 5th and 6th, then he just ends up doing thing which he does not want to do it. The diabetic guy ends up eating sugar. Same way, this 4th and 5th and 6th spiritual state, he ends up doing rag. He doesn't want to do that one, but he still ends up doing it. So he doesn't have liking for it, but it is his weakness that he ends up doing. His weakness means his personal effort quality is not that strong enough to stay within, so he ends up doing remaining in that perceivable toxic emotion phase. From 7th spiritual development stage to 10th spiritual development stage, he is non-perceivable form of toxic emotions, means abuddhipurvak no rag. As we say, 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th, he is grossly, totally involved in his eternal soul substance. And while he is there is very, very feeble toxic emotions are operational under the radar. That soul is not able to pick it up. So because soul is so grossly involved within self, so he is not able to pick it up those things, but it is still operational. So that is called abuddhipurvak no rag, or non-perceivable form of toxic emotions. It is still there. And these toxic emotions, how feeble they are, in the literature it says this way, that the intense form of toxic emotions, anantanubandhi kashay, anantanubandhi krodh man maya lobh, the anger, deceit, ego type of toxic emotions in a fully operational phase, they are present in the first spiritual development state. And the simile is given there, that there is a mountain, there's a big mountain, and there is a tirad. What do we say, tirad? There is a crack in that mountain. The crack in the mountain, it will remain forever. It will not merge with each other. The crack remains forever. So that's why my toxic emotions, when they're fully operational in a first spiritual development state, they are like the crack present in the mountain. In the fourth spiritual development state, the toxic emotions are much milder. What are the milder form? It means they are just like the rain has just come down and the mud has occurred, and I drew the line on a mud, wet mud, I draw the line. That line remains only till the sun comes out and heat comes, and that the mud becomes dry and that line disappears. In the first one, the mountain, the crack never gets united. In the second one, wet mud, line is drawn, dry mud, it's gone. In the fifth and sixth spiritual state, basically, or mainly fifth, the toxic emotions are like you draw the line in sand. That sand means it's so feeble, that line is so feeble that wind comes and that line gets erased. And in 7th onward, 7 to the 10th spiritual development state, these toxic emotions are so feeble, as if you're drawing line in a water, the line keeps on doing in the front, and on the back it gets erased. So that kind of very, very teeny tiny toxic emotions are operational, and they are so subtle that soul is not able to perceive. That's why it is called non-perceivable form of toxic emotions. Abuddhipurvak no rag. Means it's extremely feeble, but it's still there. At the 10th, it just goes away. For an aspirant soul, there is partial purity, partial impurity present in his mode only due to himself. This impurity and purity occurs because of me alone, not due to any other alien influence. The karma fruition is there, but I join with my liking, I join there. So it's my responsibility. They are there. But to join or not to join is my nature. So it is my responsibility. It's not any alien influence. You know, the last week, last 7 days, one of my friend was here, and we are talking about it. And he follows non-Jain philosophy, Vedanta philosophy, and we talked a lot and lots of things. So many things are similar. So he kept on saying, oh, we have the Hindu philosophy, the same thing, just like Jains. Oh, we are the same thing. But I said, you believe that God does all this thing for you. Means there's an alien influence is there. When Jainism says, nobody can influence me. I am responsible for my deeds, for my act, and that's why I may be in the transmigration or I will be a liberated soul only because of my personal effort in the right direction or wrong direction. So purity, impurity both are present simultaneously. For an aspirant soul, there is partial purity, partial impurity present. We know that part. In the more partial purity, partial impurity state is manifested also. Okay. Therefore, different inclinations are manifesting. The purity inclination is manifesting and impurity inclination is manifesting. And this state is known as conventional form, conventional point of view. Partial purity, partial impurity operational in an alien soul. It's, I mean, not, it means aspirant. I'm sorry, slip of tongue. In aspirant soul, partial purity, partial impurity, that is called conventional point of view. Therefore, from fourth stage, conventional point of view starts, as there is absolute point of view is also present in the form of partial purity. As we said before, glass of milk, glass of water, glass of oil, glass is presence important, and then you can just say glass of water. That water is in a glass, that milk is in a glass, that oil is in a glass. So glass is present important. So conventional point to be accused, you have to have presence of absolute point of view. If there's no absolute point of view present, then there is no conventional point of view present. So in me as a mithyatva, in a wrong belief state, I don't have absolute point of view, so there is no conventional point of view present. In the 13 Gunsthana, absolute point of views, the absolute point of view means pure point of views, objectivity is achieved. So there is nothing left there. And so there is no conventional point of view there also. This conventional point of view lasts till living being manifests the complete purity of the soul at 13 spiritual development stage that we just talked. In the 11th stanza, it mentioned that eternal actual state is by itself his pure point of view. If you remember, in the pure point of view, they said that the actual state is called pure point of view. One who takes refuge in the eternal actual state, then he has right faith generated. Samyak darshani pragata thaishe. When I'm taking refuge in my soul, that's why right faith is generated. Taking refuge and right faith manifesting, both are occurring same way. This way the division is created. Taking refuge in the eternal soul and right faith is generating, so the divisions are created. This aspirant soul still has some impurity present within. So this division, when they are there, that means impurity is present. And partial purity, partial impurity state is known as conventional point of view. Some of the things are getting repeated because Gurudev Sri, I have picked up all these things from Samaisar Siddhi, in which when he has given the lecture on 12th stanza, or he gave the analysis of Samaisar for 19 times in 45 years. Not a single day passed in which he has not given lecture on Samaisar. So each time he used to start, it will go for 2.5 years like that. So when he gives discussion, he wants some of the point, he thinks they are important. So Gurudev keeps on hitting again and again and again. He says that repetition will make second nature for you. When you are in the first grade, you have been said how to write number 1. Your teacher kept on asking you to repeat writing again. And now it has become such a second nature to you. Even in the dream, if you have to write number 1, you will write in a proper fashion only because it's your second nature. So repetition, it doesn't have to be get frustrated about or get bored about, but it enhances my faith. It just makes me understand that this is so important. That's why Gurudev Sri kept on hitting this one. First 12 stanza, he said that they are the heart of Samaysar. And thereafter, there is expansion all the way to 415 stanza. So there is a lot more time Gurudev has taken in these stanzas, you know. In the stanza, word comes as follow. There is one word comes as a Vyavahar Desida. Vyavahar Desida means, it means that during aspirant phase of the living being, there is presence of convention point of view. Simple thing. Now, aspirant soul knows this conventional point of view. Aspirant soul does not adore this convention point of view.
Kiritanko,
Yeah.
Kiritanko, I have a bad connection, or it's not coming through. Can you just repeat what you just said?
Okay. The stanza, there's a word
from the, it means from the, yeah, right there. From, yeah, there. It means that during aspirant phase, if you could just go through that because the connection is bad.
No. It means that during aspirant phase of living being, there is presence of conventional point of view because there is an absolute point of view of experiencing of the soul. So there is a conventional point of view present, as we talked in the previous slides. And so aspirant soul knows this presence. It just does not adore this one. It does not respect this one. It does not just say, this is the best thing ever happened to me. No, he says, he knows, and then he says, I'm going to work on it to remove that thing. So it's a knowing purpose. So motive for conventional point of view is for knowledge perspective only, means vyavahar janelo prayojan vanche. This abscess occurring in a healthy person, it's for knowing purpose. It doesn't need to be adored. It doesn't need to be respected. It doesn't need to give any importance to that. It just say, I know it and I'm going to remove it. So that's what convention for you. Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev did above mentioned definition of the word Vyavahar Desida. Now, why Gurudev Sri brought this point again? Because some people, they are misinterpreting this 12th stanza. When they say Vyavahar Desida means for the aspirant soul, you give the discourses in a Vyavarnai only. You give discourses for convention point of view only. That kind of wrong notion is going on in the community in certain sections. Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev wanted to say that
Kirtankal, I didn't understand what you just described. What is going on in the community?
In general, people will say Vyavahar means Desida means Upadesh. And Vyavahar means Vyavahar, convention point of view. So, for aspirant soul, he should be given the discourses of convention point of view only. That kind of wrong notion is there. While Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev said, Vyavahar Desida means the convention point of view is for knowing purpose only. It is there, but knowing purpose only to be removed ultimately. It doesn't say that, oh yeah, from aspirant soul, keep on giving discourses on Vyavahar Nai only. No, that's not true.
So the Vyavar Nai Janelo Prayojan Vanche ane Nischay Nai Adrelo, meaning respectable and adorable point of view.
Yes.
So who gave these two interpretations for the two Nais? The Amrut Chand Acharya?
Yeah, Amrit Chandra Acharya, they made gave the meaning of it. Because remember, Kunkun Acharya, they wrote down 2 lines only. 2 lines only he wrote down, but after 2,000 years back, Kunkun Acharya, they wrote down 2 lines, and Amrit Chandra Acharya, they gave the commentary, deep dissection of those lines and everything. And it's been said, Gurudev used to say that even though there is 1,000 years of difference between those two super personalities, it appeared as if Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev has gone into Kunkun Acharya's heart, and he took it out all the meaning of those things, So he really gave great meaning for this one, and says, don't just go by those words alone, but there is a deep meaning hidden behind those words. Like, for example, in a very first stanza begins, very first stanza of Samaisar, and it starts with the word atha, A-T-H, atha. Atha means now. Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev said, this atha means it's of a mangling. It is an auspicious thing. Why? Now means one which was not present, and now it's beginning. Until now, I'm in the wrong phase. Until now, I'm in the wrong faith state. Until now, I'm in the mithyatva state. Now, I am changing my mithyatva. So, going away from wrong faith means mithyatva. To come to samyatva is beginning now, and that's why that word atha, it says it's a very auspicious. So these are the things Amrit Chandra Acharya wrote down, and also Gurudev made those kind of meanings out of those things. So Kunkun Acharya Dev 2,000 years back, 1,000 years back, Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev, and last century Gurudev Sri, he did all those things. So we are absolutely fortunate. One little word also is very important. And this was, I learned so many things when Hemant Bhai was here, and he really dissected and told, I stayed with him for 1 month. So I had a lot more respect to all the scripture, because he also made very small, teeny tiny words, and he made really great meaning out of it. Amrit Chandra Acharya did above mentioned definition for the word Vavahar Desida. He said Vavahar Desida means that is conventional point of view is for knowing purpose only, respect and knowing, and it is knowing perspective. It is not to be adored. That is the meaning he took it out. Let's see. Vavahar Desida, it means that one has to give. Generally, people believe that it means give discourses to conventional point of view, discourses of conventional point of view, but it does not mean that one has to give discourses on the conventional point of view. Remember, this aspirant soul, he just had experienced the eternal soul substance. He needs to increase his personal effort. He needs to increase his purusharth a lot more. And by increasing his purusharth, he needs to be told about absolute point of view. He doesn't have to be, one does not have to give discourses to him in a convention point of view and get him stuck there. You need to, one needs to give discourses in an absolute point of view that, hey, progress further. Here is a thing that you have to keep going. So that's what it is. Its simply meaning is there is presence of conventional point of view, and aspirant soul knows this state. That's all. It doesn't mean that discourse is to be given in conventional point of view. This is the greatest misconception among some analysts who analyze in the 12th stanza in a probably not so appropriate fashion. But Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev and Gurudev Sri made all this right definition for us. He knows that there is partial purity, partial impurity present, and motive for knowing purpose only, not for adoration purpose. That Vyavarnai is only for knowing purpose and then to discard also. Janelo projanvan che, adrelo projanvan nathi means only knowing purpose, not for adoration purpose. So here we are almost coming, we can just take, okay. We can take this stanza. Essence of the 12th stanza. Convention aspect and absolute aspect are two divisions of sacred knowledge. Remember, Srutagnan has a two aspect, Vyavahar nahi, Nishchay nahi, because only in the sacred knowledge or Srutagnan or scriptural knowledge there is presence of nahi. There is presence of partial point of view. So conventional point of view and absolute point of view are two divisions of the Srutagnan. Experiencing of the soul along with the Srutagnan is known as Bhav Srutagnan. This is experiencing of the soul. Remember, I am us, people, five sense sentient being. They have a Srutagnan. This Srutagnan is a wrong Srutagnan because it is only knowing the objects of the universe, and that too not completely, in a wrong way it knows. But it is that Srutagnan is directed to the alien objects of the universe, mainly the body. This is my body. I am the body. I had the unity with the body, and that is the Srutagnan is in the wrong way it is been presented in me as a first Gunsthanak person. But the same Srutagnan, we study, we listen to the Gurudev's discourses, we study in detail, we analyze those stanzas and everything. Now we have a lot more understanding of the nature of the soul. Still, it's a indirect knowledge, means knowledge without experiencing. But now I have acquired that knowledge, indirect knowledge with this Srutagnan, and now I keep on dwelling on this knowledge, to keep my attention, try to bring my attention towards eternal soul substance. And my Srutagnan, my scriptural knowledge, which was directing to the alien object, now it takes U-turn and now gets direction to the eternal soul substance. So this Srutagnan, which was Ku-Srutagnan, means wrong Srutagnan in the first spiritual development state, but acquiring more and more knowledge about the soul and everything, now I contemplate upon it, now I reflect upon it, now I meditate upon it, and those reflective thoughts now slowly becomes less and less and less intense, and on one fine moment, now this Srutagnan gets converted, means bring the attention to the eternal soul substance, and that is called Bhav Srutagnan. We will see that word time to time, Bhav Srutagnan. So that Bhav Srutagnan means this Srutagnan has experienced the eternal soul substance. This Bhav Srutagnan is known as comprehensive knowledge or Praman Gnan. Means it is knowledge about the soul completely, presence of eternal soul substance, infinite attributes and modes and everything. So this Srutagnan knows everything. That means it's called comprehensive knowledge. That means Praman Gnan. It knows the substance as well as mode. Why it's called comprehensive knowledge? Because it knows substance as well as mode and also attributes. Absolute point of view, conventional point of view, both are part of Bhav Srutagnan. Because that's a Srutagnan, remember? Scriptural knowledge. They are scriptural knowledge, and so absolute point of view, conventional point of view, both are the part of the scriptural knowledge or Bhav Srutagnan or Praman Gnan or knowing the substance.
So, Kiritanko, the Praman Gnan starts at 4th Gunastanak?
Yes.
But it's not complete until all the way to 12th.
Yes,
13th, yeah.
Because at the 4th Gunstanak, Praman Gnan has idea that, okay, this is the soul substance. These are infinite attributes, but he is not able to perceive all those infinite attributes. He just, in general, he knows that those are infinite attributes present. And then the modes are present. So he knows all the three things. And because he knows the soul in complete, for example, I am somebody's father, I'm somebody's son, I'm somebody's brother, I'm somebody's brother-in-law, I'm somebody's uncle, I'm somebody's nephew. And that is all those from the profession. I can be called as a doctor. Now I'm retired, so I'm been called senior citizen, where I'm Jain and I go to temple, so I'm called Jain. So my identity is perceived in many different aspects. And all those aspects are called Praman Gnan, means comprehensive knowledge. Out of all that comprehensive knowledge, now I pick up one thing only. On Sunday, I go to the temple and then they say, oh, this Jain guy showed up. At that time, my all other entities are put as a secondary. Who's my I'm the nephew, I'm the uncle, I'm the son, all those things become secondary, and I'm the Jain, that becomes primary. So here, Praman Gnan knows everything: soul, substance, attribute, mode, and then the Suddha Gnan will just say, out of all these things, my important thing is eternal soul substance. So I'm going to hit that one.
Kiranko?
Yeah.
What is the difference between Bhav Shuddha Gnan and Shuddha Kevali?
Sutta Kevali, basically, when we just went through the 8th and 9th stanza, Sutta Kevali means two ways it's been described. Sutta Kevali means one who knows all the 12 ang completely, all the scripture, total knowledge he has it, then it's called Sutta Kevali also. And from the other point of view, one who is experiencing of the soul, one who is a Bhavsud Gnan, he's also called Sutta Kevali because all the 12 huge scriptures, all this knowledge, what is the essence of it? It says, stay away from every alien object and get engrossed into your soul. And so when I go away from the alien object, I get engrossed in my soul. That is called Bhavsud Gnan, or it can also be called Sutta Kevali from other aspect if you want to. Both are same.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So for an aspirant soul, this state knows as partial purity, partial impurity present within. And presence of partial purity is knowing purpose and not for the partial impurity is for knowing purpose and not for adoration purpose. So this one again, so many things got repeated today because Gurudev wanted to make sure that we are really understand from different angles and all those things. Like just like the question that you asked for it, that Shuddha Kevali and Bhavsud Gnan are the same. Yes. Why they are same? Then we know the meaning of it. Okay. Any other questions so far?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll stop over here. Javani ke jnana se sujalo kalo Sovani mastak namo sada det ho. 9th of Navaka mantra. Jai Jirendra, Michai Dukram, thank you.
Jai Jitendra.
Jai. Thanks.
Michami